Hello, everyone, and welcome back to WABAN, the movie and TV show podcast, where an expert on the subject discusses things with an average viewer. I am your host, Nim, and today I am joined by Batman.
I'm Batman. Except that's not what he sounds like in this one, is it? He doesn't have that.
He's not like yeah. He doesn't do the that's only a Christian Bale thing. I don't think that's Kevin Conroy did not do that.
I know you said that this Batman voice is the one that you think of for Batman, right?
Yes.
But for me, having recently watched that movie, and that's like been the first thing that I watched a Batman in a long time, I can't get that joke out of my head of it just being like, Batman sounds like this, and you can't understand him.
Yeah. But now this is probably my favorite Batman voice in this show, which obviously originated in the 90s Batman show and then continued on into the Justice League. Mm-hmm. So anyways, we started watching the Justice League, which is a really big piece of nostalgia for me because, the first season especially. As a kid, I had the first season on DVD, and I watched it a lot. So a lot of these episodes, I very vividly remember certain things. Like there were certain things I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I remember this part. So it was a lot of fun to get into. So so I guess so. Before we start, there's one little thing I want to say. Our ordering of the episodes was a little weird because there's one version where certain episodes are in a different order and another one. So we'll just go through. We decided on an order, so we'll just go through. We'll just say the titles of the episodes as we talk about them. And So we'll just, so pretty much every episode in the show is more than one part. So we'll go in chunks of episodes. We're not going to talk about one at a time. So starting with the first 3 episodes, which are Secret Origins. So what are your initial thoughts on the opening episodes?
Very intense for an opening, I have to say, because it was like immediately planet-wide destruction.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing you have to understand too is like technically speaking, this show isn't the first thing in this universe. Like we've already, I'm sure in the Superman show, which I've never actually seen the Superman show. I've seen the Batman show. I've never seen the entire show, but I've seen several episodes of the Batman show as a kid. But I'm sure in the Superman show there was probably a lot of alien stuff and whatever, so it's probably not that unusual in this universe. It's just like, without having seen the others, it does seem weird, like, oh, we're starting off with big alien invasion, but
But they did a good job of bringing all the characters together and introducing them. Like, I do remember... Like, Martian Manhunter isn't a huge part of the DC universe for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you first introduce him, it's like, oh, you immediately know he has psychic powers because he's been contacting Superman. And then when they first get into a fight, he's like, look out, Batman. And he phases through his body in order to block the shot from him. It's like, oh, you immediately know his powers.
Yeah. I mean, I think... in the first episode, I don't know how I would say they do. I don't know if I'd say they do great at introducing all the characters. Like, definitely Batman, Superman. You kind of get them a little bit in the beginning, and that's all you get so far. And then, obviously, with Martian Manhunter, John Jones, you get a really good introduction of him because he's actually the most important character to this general plot. Like, he has a very specific involvement with it.
Admittedly, like Hawk Girl, you get basically nothing of.
Right, that's the thing. Like, the other characters just kind of show up. I mean, you do get a little bit of a build-up to Wonder Woman showing up, but those scenes just feel really out of nowhere and, like, unrelated. It's like, oh, suddenly we're on this island, and she's like, I want to go help the men, and she's like, no, don't go. And then she's like, I gotta go
anyway. Yeah.
I want to see men. Listen, I've been stuck on this island without any dick for so long. I want to go. That's Wonder Woman.
Why? Why you
That's
like this?
That's Wonder Woman's character in a nutshell.
It is not. I would thank you to not spread such slander.
No. Yeah, so the rest of the characters, there's like this scene where they all just kind of show up. And I know some of the characters do get introductions in the Superman show. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm pretty sure there's an episode with Flash in it. There's an episode with a different Green Lantern in it, not John Stewart, because there's more than one Green Lantern of Earth.
Yeah.
Which that was always an interesting choice. Always seemed like an interesting choice to me, was the idea, like the most well-known Green Lantern of Earth, I think, is like Hal Jordan, right? Like, he's like the first one, I'm pretty sure, and like he was the one who was the first one in a lot of the comics. So I just found it interesting that they decided to go with John Stewart instead. But I mean, I like it because I think I like John Stewart.
Yeah. But, he gives a very like experienced quality to the the Justice League.
Yes. And you find out, I don't know if he mentioned this before in the show so far, but at some point you learn that he was in the Marines.
I mean,
before he was Green Lantern. I can
see it. Yeah, he acts like it.
You can definitely see that he has like some sort of military background. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I think it's fine that a lot of the characters don't get like full proper introductions, because it is one of those things where it's like you throw all the characters in there, and then as the show goes on, you slowly get to know them better. Right, so I think it's generally fine. Like, some of them get episodes that focus on them a little bit more as you go on and everything. So I think that's fine.
Yeah, you don't want to overwhelm the watcher, the viewer.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. These opening episodes, I think, are fine. I feel like at the opening of the episodes, a lot of it's about this mystery of like, who are these people? What's going on? And I think that's kind of interesting. But once it's revealed, the aliens are revealed and they're fully taking over, it kind of becomes like a pretty generic story of like, yep, we just got to take down the aliens. Like, it doesn't feel as interesting anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And the aliens aren't particularly interesting either. They kind of have a cool visual design and thing, I guess. And then,
their weird goopiness. And
yeah.
I don't even know what to call it. They're like weird color scheme.
Yeah, and then their weird jellyfish leader thing.
Yeah,
is kind of cool, especially when he's like trying to like do that weird thing to like John Jones, like kill him or whatever. Like, he like freaking, the tentacles are going inside of his skin. That was some pretty horrifying imagery for a kid's show.
Oh, and you also just brought up an interesting thing. They don't refer to each other all as their superhero names. They refer to, like, Martian Manhunter as John.
Some of them do. So, Green Lantern, they'll either... Well, Flash calls him GL. I don't know if the others do. Some of them might call him John.
Too, but...
Some of them might call him John. But like John Jones, they never call him Martian Manhunter. I don't know if he even is ever called that in this show, as far as...
Not that I saw yet, but he clearly is Martian Manhunter.
Well, yeah, he is. It's just he hasn't... Yeah. But a lot of the other ones, they do call them by, like, Batman, Superman. And nobody knows who Batman is anyways. Superman might, actually. Because I'm pretty sure it's established in the Superman show, or in the episodes. There's like episodes where Superman and Batman first meet. I remember this because they took those episodes and turned them into a movie called the Batman Superman movie that I watched as a kid. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it is established that like Superman and Batman both find out each other's secret identities. So they know who each other is, I think. But it is interesting though, because not a lot of the characters do have secret identities. It's like...
Yeah.
So I think the only ones that do is Batman, Superman, and Flash out of all of these.
Hawkgirl, I'm pretty sure like she just is full-time superhero, right? Like she doesn't seem to have a life outside of it.
Yeah, as far as we can tell, everybody knows, Wonder Woman is Diana, Princess Diana, and obviously John Jones doesn't, he's just himself as well, and then
right, that's just what he does.
And then Jon Stewart is very openly, Green Lantern. Like he's walking down the street in the one episode, and he just, in his normal clothes, and he just uses his ring.
Yeah, and just does the full transformation in like a diner. I think it was a barber shop.
Yeah, because I think there are other Green Lanterns who do keep their identity a secret, but at this, Jon Stewart doesn't. So, it's just it's kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, obviously, nobody knows who Batman is except for Superman, and then maybe some of the other ones know who Superman is. I really don't know, but yeah.
Honestly, Superman doesn't try very hard to keep his identity. Like, he just puts glasses on.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just remembered this. Is this the show? It might not be, but it might be that someone takes over the Flash's body and he's like goes in front of a bathroom mirror and is like, finally, I can figure out who the Flash is. And he takes off the mask and goes, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah, so that is in an episode of Justice League Unlimited.
Ah, okay.
From what I remember, yeah. And it's actually, I think it's like Lex Luthor and the Flash switch bodies.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's like a whole thing that happens. That was a fun episode, if I remember right. Yeah. But
I just see it on the internet every once in a while where it's like, finally, I can know who the Flash is at least instead of Superman or Batman or whoever he's talking about. Yeah. And he removes the mask and he just goes, who is this?
It's just some guy. Well, because like if it was Batman, he'd be like, Bruce Wayne. Yeah, he's famous. We know he would know who that is. But like,
right? It's not like you gotta recognize him no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's in Justice League Unlimited, which is the sequel to this show.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get to that eventually. I don't know. We'll see. So what was so these first episodes. I mean, they establish everything, so they do fine at establishing everything, I think. It just kind of ends. Batman's just like, yep, I made this watchtower space station thing. Okay, what of it?
We worked well together, so I made this. So keep working together, but I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm just going to be helping you guys out.
I'll just help you out when you need it. That's the funny thing is, like, he's like, I'm not a part of the team, but he does help out the team a lot.
He's great at the team, but he's not a part of the team.
Yeah. Which is very Batman. He's just kind of like, he's too much of a loner. Yeah, he's going to go be depressed in Gotham, whatever.
Dark and brooding.
Yeah, he's got to.
I also want to talk about the actual superhero choice, because like Batman and Superman are obvious. The Flash is a pretty good choice. Oh yeah, Wonder Woman, of course.
Green Lantern is a pretty obvious one. But
like,
beyond that, it's like you have Martian Manhunter and Hawk Girl. Yeah,
which Hawk Girl is the really the one that stands out, because like who?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of like a lot of the original lineup of this team. So even before I watched this show, I watched a really old show called Super Friends, which was basically the Justice League, but they gave it the name of the Super Friends. It was a really, really cheesy, like it wasn't that great of a show. It was like really old.
I remember they made a joke about it in this show.
They did. Yeah, where Flash is like, what, like a bunch of super friends? And he's like, no, more like a Justice League. Yeah, they did. That was funny. And in that show, the lineup did include Hawkman.
Oh.
So, yeah, it did not include Martian Manhunter. So I never heard of him until I watched this show. And it did include Aquaman. So I was always, like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, Aquaman's not part of the team, and then like,
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And then you have an episode with him in it, but like he doesn't become part of the team, so it's like
I
he's just
expected that to happen because it was like I thought Aquaman was like one of the original part of the Justice League.
Right. Well, he was. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's got a kingdom to rule. He can't be.
I guess fine.
But yeah, I always thought it was interesting, like the specific people they chose to be the main lineup of the Justice League in this. Because again, like you said, some of them are obvious, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern. Those were all original members as well. But then like some of the like why did they choose Hawk Girl instead of Hawk Man? You know what I mean? Like what was maybe it was they wanted another woman on the team. That could be why.
There are other DC
female superheroes. Yeah, I don't know. It might be that they only wanted 7 members. They wanted to include one of the Hawk people, but then they realized there was only one woman on the team. So they're like, it'll be Hawk Girl. I don't know. Who knows what their decision making process was. Interestingly enough, the Flash in this show is not the original Flash, Barry Allen. It is Wally West, which in this continuity might be the original Flash, but like in the comics, that's not the original Flash. It's like he was the Kid Flash and then became the Flash eventually, and like, but that Wally West is the Flash in this show.
There was a flashback for him that showed like getting struck by lightning in his like laboratory with all the chemicals, which is like the original Barry Allen story. I don't think that's how Wally West got it though.
I don't know what the actual story. I don't know. They do change things from like the original comics, but that's fine. It's their own version they're going with. So I don't know. But yeah, so you get all the characters here. So I mean, yeah. We can move on to the next series of episodes if you want past the first 3.
I'm all good. I just wanted to get all that stuff out of the way first when we're starting out.
Yeah, that makes sense. So next is episode 4 and 5, which is In the Blackest Night, part 1 and 2. So this is the one focusing on Green Lantern.
Yeah, straight from
the
their
trial.
Little anthem. Or their little monologue that they do.
Yeah. So that's actually what they have to say that when they like charge their rings, I'm pretty sure. It's
darkest day, blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
All those who worship evil's might, something like that. Beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Yeah,
forget the exact wording of it. I feel like I've heard it so many times. Like I've watched this show so many times. Like you'd think I'd have that memorized, but but no. So yeah, no, I like this. It's kind of cool. I like the whole trial aspect of it. Like seeing the space trial was cool and like, and it sets it up interestingly right from the beginning because it's kind of like you realize you're like, oh, he's on trial. Like, what did he do?
Not only that, he's accepting it. Like, he's not resisting at all.
Right.
And he believes he's guilty.
Right, exactly. Which is a good job at really displaying his character. Like, he's not going to fight it because he's like, yes, I am guilty. Now, once he realizes that he wasn't guilty and that he was framed, then he gets pissed. Rightfully so. This is a scene where he jumps at the guy and he's like, "Whoa, why'd you do it?"
I also love like immediately after that where he's just like, well, I'm not on trial anymore. My innocence was just clearly proven because the crime didn't even get committed. And he just summons his ring back to his finger, which I don't remember if that's possible. I thought all the powers came from the ring, and as soon as they took it off, they were gone. But he just used it.
There's something about like if you have a strong enough connection to your ring, I think you might be able to do that. I don't know. I don't know all the details, like all the lore on the Green Lanterns. But yeah. But yeah, and you get the sort of backstory of the Green Lanterns, which I think you do get a little bit of stuff with the Green Lanterns in the Superman show as well, from what I know. But this you get more. You actually get to see the planet that the Guardians are from and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole thing with the Manhunters being, the original things created by the Guardians, and they're rebelling.
Yeah.
Which,
honestly, as soon as the trial's over, it just becomes like, oh, this was just the setup for the Manhunters invading, and now it's a big battle. But it was honestly really well done.
Yeah. I mean, the final battle was decent, I guess. I think the best part of it was that sort of moment where Jon Stewart is like, does his whole thing, and he's like,
and like, I did this, I need to take responsibility for this, I'm not going to resist it at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting thing is, the Green Lanterns, the Green Lanterns are power, their power comes from will, the power of their willpower, right?
Courage and all that.
Yeah, so there are other types of lanterns in the lore, like Green Lanterns are the most well-known ones, but like
there are the ones that by a different emotion,
different thing, right? So like Blue Lanterns, I think, are hope, and Yellow Lanterns are fear. I don't know the rest of them, but
I think red is anger, I'm assuming.
Might be, yeah. But so the Green Lanterns are will. So it's sort of like you might be wondering, oh, why is he suddenly able to sap all the Green Lantern power from the Manhunter, who's like, getting it all? Maybe because his willpower was just so strong compared to his. Because it's not really explained in this. It's just kind of like he just starts reciting the thing, and it's like he just suddenly takes all the power from the Manhunter that he was like, and like stops him. And it's like, how is he able, but it's like, knowing that the Green Lanterns are powered through willpower, it's kind of like, oh, so he just had a super strong willpower compared to,
I guess that makes sense. I always, anytime something like that comes up in this show, I'm just like, nah, it's old like 90s cartoon stuff that it's just, this happens.
Like, we're getting close to the end of the episode, we got to find a way to resolve the conflict, Yeah, it's definitely partially that, but it's also, I think, it does kind of make sense knowing like how the Green Lanterns work. It's just not explained in the episode itself, but whatever.
Honestly, do I want to say one of the only or the only complaint that I have? I'm not quite sure that I have like on this show is all based on like the era that it was made. Because it's like, oh, some of these animations are kind of like weird, but they are well done and they do work. I'm just not quite used to seeing them done like this. And same with like the voice acting and stuff like that.
Yeah, some of the animation, I don't know, it's like, maybe it's just like, after seeing Avatar, I'm like, other animations is like weird to me. Or like after seeing some anime shows, I'm like, this is kind of like weak. I don't know, maybe it's because of that. But it's not bad. It's just its own style. And it's just kind of it is an interesting style. It's
like the halfway between our like modern animation stuff and like the really old superhero shows.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, they have some like interesting style with it, where it's like a lot of things are very like, a lot of the style, especially for like character designs, is very like angular. Like Batman just has like a square chin, like.
Oh yeah,
just like,
and like
weird.
Everybody's shoulders are like at least twice as wide as their hips.
Yeah, everybody's got super wide shoulders. Yeah, it's like, which I guess makes sense for a lot of these characters, because they're supposed to be like really strong people, like really fit, athletic people. Like, so I guess it kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, like for Superman, 100% that fits.
Superman,
but for
Batman,
like Flash, it's like,
I think it would fit. Well, I mean, Flash, you would expect to have like really strong legs.
Yeah, you almost expect like a leaner build, but still athletic. So probably not the wide shoulders, but still defined.
But that's kind of just the general style they go for. So
they even do it with like Wonder Woman and everybody.
Yeah. It's fine, I guess, But yeah, so yeah, it's weird because it's like I felt like the animation was like style was like weird to me, even though like I should be really used to it because I watched this a lot as a kid. But maybe it's been so long and I've watched so many like newer things and like recent the animated things I've recently watched are like anime and like Avatar and stuff like that. So which is very just more fluid animation, I guess, like more, so I guess it's just like I've been used to that kind of thing more. So it's been,
limits of technology and all that, probably.
Yeah. Or budget or like whatever, or just that's the style they went for,
I do also really like, while we're on the Green Lantern episode, just the Green Lantern is always interesting to me because like it's not just one dude, it's like this squadron.
Yeah, the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pizza rolls done?
Something. I don't know. Somebody's cooking something. I don't know. Yeah. And you get to meet some of the other ones in this, which one of my favorites has always been Kilowog. He's like the big purple, like pig looking one. I don't know, whatever.
The one that like becomes a character witness for him, for Joan.
Yeah. You do see him more in the show. Maybe you see him more in Unlimited, but I know you see more of him at some point. And he was always one of my favorite Green Lanterns, of like the non-human Green Lanterns. Yeah. I don't remember the names of the other ones, so
I just remember that one was just a sphere. It was just a ball with legs.
The one was just a ball. Yeah, the one was like a little bug-like thing, cockroach-like thing. I don't know.
It looked like he was shaped like a banana at first, and then he was like, no, he's more like jelly-like.
Yeah, the
like
one looked kind of humanish, but not. What was that? The one was like, I don't know. But yeah. But there are a bunch more. It's just these are the ones that were here
There's
in this show.
These guys, which is always like, oh, it's not just one. Cool.
Well, yeah, because they're all spread throughout the galaxy,
assigned to their own like squadrons of planets.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah. So, moving on, I guess, as long as you're okay. We don't want to linger too long on one set of episodes. Next, we're going to talk about The Enemy Below, episode 6 and 7. So this is the Aquaman episode, and I actually really like these ones. Like, these, I think, are some of the better ones of the early episodes. I don't know how you feel, but...
I actually rather liked it, too.
Yeah, there's like... So... They really do a good job at making Aquaman like a cool character, because I feel like there's always that joke like, "Oh, Aquaman's just a dumb character.
He can talk to whales."
Like you can't take Aquaman seriously. One thing that does help is they didn't use his old like classic design. They used the more like newer Aquaman design,
with the beard
where he's
and everything.
The beard and like he doesn't wear a shirt, like the more badass looking Aquaman version of Aquaman. That definitely helps. But yeah, no, I really liked him in this because he's got this like very hard exterior, this hardness to him where he's like
stubborn, no nonsense.
Right, like but it's all in service of his kingdom, where it's like it's because he wants to protect his kingdom, and like you even see a little bit more of his like human side in the scene where he's like with his wife and his son, and he's like, he's kind of a little bit more nice, and he's just holding his son like the little baby, and he's just like, oh, what kind of future am I creating for our son? Like, and so it's like you get kind of both sides to him, because in the first few scenes he feels like a villain at first. He's just kind of like almost, but then he becomes, and then you very quickly realize that his brother is a little ridiculous. But yeah, and then he goes up obviously to the surface, and obviously doesn't understand how things work on the surface world. He's just kind of
just making demands, not giving an inch.
Yeah. And then obviously has an assassination attempt, which I'm pretty sure that was Deadshot that tried to kill him.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't say who he was. He was just some assassin in this, but
I think Deadshot did have that like sort of scope on his eyeball, like the scope goggle.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm pretty sure it is. I remember when I always thought it was when I was younger, like that it was Deadshot. So I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting, because it almost becomes this like this interesting story of like there's a political assassination attempt, which is kind of interesting.
A coup, trying to take over power.
And then when Aquaman like returns, also Batman's introduction in this episode was pretty sweet, because you start off, you don't realize Batman's going to be involved in this episode because he's not there. And then he just shows up and is like, everybody, they're like, how do we, we can't help Aquaman. Like his physiology isn't like humans. We can't help him. And then Batman just shows up like, I know what to do. Like,
huh? When'd you get here? You know what's going on?
He puts him in like what looks like one of those Bacta tanks from Star Wars. Yeah. No, it's great. And then they have this cool plan to capture the assassin by, being like, oh yeah, we have a shapeshifter on our team. Let's use him. Like,
yeah, no, that's smart. That's just.
And then the other cool Batman scene when he interrogates Deadshot.
Oh yeah,
Deadshot's like, I'm never gonna tell you anything. And then he's like, here, I got something to tell you. He pulls him aside. You don't know what he says. Then he's just like, okay, I'll tell. And what?
It's like, I think it's a children's show, so you can't let them hear it, but you can let them imagine.
Well, because I think it's like either Wonder Woman, maybe it's Wonder Woman who's like, what did he say to him? And Superman's just like, you don't want to know. Because like Superman knows Batman better than the others,
also,
he's known him
Superman
longer.
Has the super hearing.
Oh, that's right. So he might have heard what he said too. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah, I didn't think about that actually. He probably did. But yeah, I mean, Batman is probably probably my favorite character in this. Like he's just this is like he's just always one step ahead of everyone. He's always got this like he just knows what's up.
Always has a plan. Always ready for anything.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah,
my favorite part of this episode has to be them just building up Aquaman this entire time, because like you went through all the emotional stuff, well, most of it, but then he's like chained to the rock, falling into the lava with his son, and he can't break it, and he goes for one final hit before it cuts, and he comes back with his son in one arm, and you're just like, why isn't he holding him in two arms? He hands it to his wife, and you notice that he lost the arm, that he had to cut it off to free himself. Well,
and you notice the cloth that the baby was wrapped in. The baby's not wrapped in that cloth anymore because it's wrapped around his hand. Yeah.
Yeah, he used it to staunch the bleeding.
Yeah. No, I really like that because, like, obviously it's a kid's show. They can't show him like actually stabbing his hand, but they do a good job at really like making it as intense as they can. Like it's like I remember when I was a kid, like this was a pretty intense moment that was like pretty engraved into my brain. So like when I was watching it now, like I very vividly remembered it. So I was like, oh, this is that part.
And it was just such a showcase of like willpower and determination for him. It's like, oh really, no, don't mess with Aquaman. That you can't make that joke anymore.
Well, it really strengthens his character too, because it's kind of this idea of like he will do anything to protect like the ones he loves. Like you get the sense that like he didn't do it out of needing to save himself. He did it for his son. Like he was just he had that determination to save his son. Like if he was on his own, maybe he would have died. Maybe he wouldn't have had the strength to like cut his own hand off or like the willpower. You know what I mean? But like because he had to save his, because he keeps looking over at his son like, we need to get out of this. Like I need to save. Yeah. No, that's a really well done scene. I really like that.
On a side note for that, it's also like I just kind of realized a choice that they made for the color of the wrapping that the child was in, because it's red.
Yeah.
Because if it was any other color, they would have had to show blood, but because they chose red, they didn't.
Yeah, they would have had to show like a blood-soaked thing, but it's like, oh.
No, it was already red, so it doesn't matter.
It is soaked in blood, but you can't see that it's soaked in blood because it's a red cloth. Yeah. Well, it's like a clever way of them getting around the censors of like they have to censor it for children, but like that is one always thing that I always found cool about like kids shows. A lot of times is like I do like a lot of like adult animated things, like when we're watching like Cowboy Bebop, for instance, they can, show blood when somebody gets shot and stuff. It's really cool. But like, it is cool when you watch a kid's show and you can see how they like find ways to maneuver around it, but still make it like intense, Yeah.
And then after that, it's just, oh, like, no, you already know what kind of person Aquaman is. Now we're just going to make him a badass as he fights all these guys with just one arm, a hook, and talking to fish every once in a while. I think he did it once, actually. Yeah,
exactly. And then so the final battle, I think is good, but I really like especially when he fights his brother finally, right? And especially the final moment where his brother is hanging on. Like, brother, help me up. Like, for a lot of superhero stories, you would expect, like, oh, he's the hero. He's going to try to help his brother. He's going to try to save him. He's not going to let him die because he's the hero. The heroes don't kill. They don't let people. But he just grabs his trident and he's just like, I believe this is mine. And then that's all he says. He's just like, yep, you're going to fall to your death. And I'm like, shit, like that's cool. And then he falls to his death and it's like, yep, he didn't even try to help him. He's like,
you tried to kill me and my son. I ain't doing this for you. No.
Yeah, well, I think it's nice though, because it kind of gives like a different side to his character that makes him different than the other characters, because like a lot of the other characters in this show would have saved him, right? Superman would have saved him, Batman would have saved him, like all Hawkgirl might not have.
Probably not.
The others would have probably, right? So because they're like they're all very much like, don't kill, we'll say, we'll just lock him up somewhere. But it is nice to kind of like set his character apart and like show the intensity of his character, where it's like, and it makes it feel more like, I don't know, almost
more human.
Yeah. And but also just like it feels like a classic like story, I guess, like myth, like brother killing brother. I don't know, it's just something about
like having the roles reversed in the last moments, and it being like, no, you caused this. This is the consequences of your actions. I'm not helping you.
Yeah. No, but I really like that, because I do remember that as a kid, but then when I got to that part, it's like, does he try to save him and then he dies? I can't remember what happens here, because I knew he fell to his death, but I didn't remember if he like tried to help him, but then he fell. Like, I don't know.
Nah, he just took his shit back.
Right. Because like in a lot of these shows like this, that's what would have happened, is you know. Not that doing that where like they try to help them but then they fall anyways and die is a bad way to do it. It depends on the character, it depends on the context. I think this is the right way to do this. Like, I think it fits with the way they've set up this character. It makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if they had done this with Batman, it wouldn't make sense. Batman would have saved, you know, that's the way, you know, or Superman would have saved him, but it fits with the character. So it was a good moment. But yeah, no, I really like these episodes. I think it's a cool story. It's a good introduction to the character of Aquaman. And yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the character of I'm pretty sure Aquaman shows up at some point again in either this show or Unlimited. I honestly can't remember. He does not in the first season, but at some point, I think.
I mean,
could be wrong.
You'd think he would show up again because it's like he's a major character. He's like one of the superheroes.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He was one of the original, like, Justice League members in the original, you know, the original lineup and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. Do you have much more to say about these episodes?
I'm all good.
Yeah, these are probably some of my favorite ones of the earlier episodes, honestly. Mm-hmm. So here is where we get to the episodes that were out of order, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we'll skip ahead to those on my list, anyways, the way they're listed on mine. So next episodes are Injustice for All. We'll talk about those. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, which on mine is listed as episodes 18 and 19, which is weird, but in the version you found. So we're going to do that. So Injustice for All. So this was always some of my favorite episodes as a kid because it's like the villain team up. It's the you know, classic supervillain team up thing. It's like, you know, supervillain team versus superhero team.
They notice that, you know, the superheroes have teamed up, so they can't be on their own anymore. They have to team up too. Yeah.
Except everyone is just teaming up for the money, except Lex Luthor. Which is funny. But so this is interesting. So obviously Lex Luthor, this version of Lex Luthor has probably had a lot of history in the Superman show, mm-hmm. but I'm not sure on all of that. So they do kind of start with an interesting thing because the whole we know, like, in, you know, classic Lex Luthor fashion, he's always had like this piece of kryptonite that he carries with him to like fight against Superman.
Yeah.
But they do something interesting with it where it's like, oh, yeah, the kryptonite is killing him. It's like...
Yeah, they have this whole scene of like, oh, he's gotten Superman this time because he's stuck in the effects of the kryptonite and all that. And it's like, nah, it's Martian Manhunter and it's a trap for him.
Yeah, which I feel like at this point in the show, you can kind of expect that. You're like, that's probably not Superman. That's probably Sean. So it's interesting because it's kind of like, so he's basically dying, right? Mm-hmm. He doesn't have much longer to live. So it's kind of like this is his final last-ditch effort to just finally get Superman. He's like, you know, I have to do this before I die. It's like it becomes an obsession of his, which is interesting. Now I don't fully know his original motivations as a character of why he was a villain in the show, in the Superman show. I don't fully know all of it, but I do know that, you know,
now that I think about it,
at some point he wants to kill Superman because obviously he's like I think it's implied that he's always been a stand-up businessman, and, you know, despite how many times he's done evil things, it's never been able to be proven, so he's always kind of stayed out of prison until now. It's like now this is like the first time he's actually been locked up in prison, I think. So it's like, I think the rest of, you know, his history as a character in this show, at least in this continuity, is him being more like a fugitive, you know, not the billionaire kind of guy. Well, he still has the money, but like he's not, you know, he's not free.
Is that?
I guess.
You just mean like that was the first time that he's locked up, and after he escapes, that's the first time he's a fugitive, right? Not that he started out the episode like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think from what I know in the Superman show, like he was obviously a villain, but like he was never sort of proven to do anything evil, so he just kind of stayed, rich famous guy, and then so he gets put in prison right next to Humanite, who's kind of a cool character. He might have had an introduction in Superman show as well, maybe, because he seems like a character that like just kind of shows up, so it's like I feel like he would have had an introduction.
Honestly, he's just a really, really smart monkey, and like that's like, his entire like
Grodd.
Deal. Yeah,
that's basically what Grodd is, though. So it's like, although he's more, a little bit more refined, maybe. He's watching some, like, what was it like the music?
This is like some cultural channel.
Yeah.
I
so
forget exactly what they called it.
He's more cultured,
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's kind of implied that he has the ability to break out of prison whenever he wants, but he just chooses not to.
Yeah.
Because he's just enjoying himself. Like, somehow he is able to get, like, all this special treatment in prison. Like, they're feeding him, like, steak in prison. Like, and he's able to watch the TV and listen to this music, and he has all this nice stuff. And I'm like, so he's just living his life in prison. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's only when Lex offers him a bunch of money that he's like, okay. Sure. And then he just breaks out so easily, so it's like, oh. So he's just like, somehow he was able to get the technology stuff, like, to create this button where he would press it and like shock the guys. Like, how did he get that in prison? I don't know, but okay.
Honestly, it's a really good way to keep someone like locked up. Just make it so that they don't want to leave, and then you're golden.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So he breaks him and Lex out. They get their team together, which so we get it's kind of cool because they get some different villains for different like heroes. So like Solomon Grundy, who I'm pretty sure is typically a Flash villain. They get Cheetah, who's typically a Wonder Woman villain.
No, that makes sense.
I think Sapphire. That's not her. It's something Star Sapphire, right? Yeah, Star Sapphire.
Oh, is that like a Starfire's sister?
No, I don't think so. I don't think she's related to Starfire. I don't know. Anyway, but as far as I know, but she is, I think, a Green Lantern villain. Pretty sure. So they kind of get like this bunch of different villains. Although there was a few that I've never heard of, except for in this show, like Copperhead. No clue who that is. Or like Shade. I think this is the only place I've ever seen that character is in this show. But I mean, I'm sure they're all from the comics at some point. But
honestly, as soon as I saw what was his name, Grundy?
Yeah.
My brain was like, oh, that's Tombstone. And wait a second, Tombstone's a Marvel villain. What's happening?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it's Grundy. I think I don't know if I know much about Tombstone, but
I just know that he's like really hard to hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. They might be like similar things, because I know there's a lot of cases of Marvel and DC copying off of each other to create characters like
Captain
Deadpool. Marvel. Yeah, there's that. Well, that's just the name. The character is very different, but yeah. But like like Deadpool is very clearly just created as like a comedy version of Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's like, Deathstroke's name is Slade Wilson, and then Deadpool's created Wade Wilson. It's like, so there's a lot of examples of that. So it might be something like that. But
I also love how in that particular example, Deadpool is like much more well loved.
Yeah, or just well known in general. Yeah, pretty much. It's interesting. But yeah, so they fight them. They're losing the fight. They leave. Batman gets bit by a copperhead, which seems like it's going to be a big deal, but then he gets healed pretty much instantly. They're like, oh, the antidote worked. And it's like, oh, thought that was going to be a bigger deal. But okay.
I mean, it's probably just like copperhead snake venom, which is just like, oh, call poison control and animal control. You're good.
Yeah, that's true. Batman has solutions to everything too, so he probably had the antidote hidden somewhere, whatever. But it's nice too, because I don't know, were you surprised when the Joker came in? Did you expect it? I mean, I did because I've seen it before, obviously. But
true, yeah.
Because he just kind of comes in.
No, like I wasn't really surprised, but I didn't expect it in any way. Because it didn't really seem like it was Batman's episode. Because if it was Batman's episode, no doubt the Joker would come in.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the first time you see him in this show. Obviously, it's the Mark Hamill voice, which is just... That's the voice I think of when I think of Joker. So... Joker comes in just being classic Joker. He's like, which this is actually a funny little point too, is like, Joker, all the other people are working for Lex for money. Joker shows up. I don't think Lex never offers him money. He just shows up and helps just because it's fun. Because he's Joker and that's what he does. He's just like, this'll be fun. Like,
Joker doesn't need context for anything, right? You just put him where he is, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Joker's just having a good time doing this. That's why he's here."
Yep, pretty much. And like I think Joker and Lex's dynamic as characters is funny because Lex is just so annoyed by him, but Joker's like, which is actually something that happened in the Batman Superman movie that I was mentioning before. Oh, yeah. I remember like the two of that's the Joker and Lex meet for the first time in that too. And they're just like really fun together because Lex is just so annoyed by him all the time. But yeah, I don't know how much Joker is in this show. I don't think he's in it a lot, but when he is, it's fun.
Just a little treat for them to give us every once in a while.
Yeah. So I think one of the coolest things about this episode is really showing off Batman's just manipulation tactics.
Oh, yeah. Like, Grundy was an obvious one. That was pretty easy.
Well, right. He's dumb enough to trick
the cheetah girl. And it's like, oh, okay.
But it's funny. It's like, but at the end of the day, the one who ends up being the one who betrayed them was, why can't I think of his name at the moment?
Humanite?
Humanite, yeah. It's Humanite. Okay. So, but they think it's Cheetah because they caught that she was like kissing Batman and stuff. Like, oh, so she might be working with Batman. So it's almost like, did Batman do that, try to like get her to do that specifically so that they would think it's her? Because like, so they wouldn't be suspicious of Humanite, Like, did he do that specifically for that reason? Probably, like...
like... Whenever you ask, did Batman do this for this reason? The answer is probably yes and 13 others.
Yes, he's thinking of everything. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I think Batman is just characterized so well in this show. Some of the other characters I don't know about. Like Superman, I think his characterization is a little weird sometimes. I don't know.
I do want to get into that, but like, and then there's the very
maybe
end
we'll get into it in when we get to the War World episodes because Superman's more important to those.
That's a good time to do it.
Anyways,
there's also at the very end of it, where it's just Batman's just like, yeah, I could have gotten out of those restraints at any moment, but I didn't need to, so I didn't.
Yeah, he's like, I decided to wait around and keep an eye on you guys for a while. I'm like,
it's like, you didn't hold me hostage. I was holding you hostage, and you didn't even know it.
Pretty much, which is that's very Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know if I have a lot more to say about the episode other than it does a good job at the it's just a lot of fun with the character interactions. I think that's the main thing with this episode. Is it's nice to see everybody come together and like have this big thing and like all the villains and have all the villains work off of each other is really fun and everything and Batman's manipulation and
butt heads with each other because they didn't get along all that well.
Exactly. Like, it's just really fun to see all that. So, yeah, so I really like it. Anyways, moving on. Next, we have Paradise Lost, which is the Wonder Woman episodes. So, on... what's her island? Themyscira? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Themyscira, yeah. So she returns because she's worried about like, oh no, my mom, I've been there in months. And everybody's turned to stone by some dude named Felix Faust, who's a sorcerer dude. And she gets manipulated into helping him gather pieces to a key to the underworld.
Yep. Key to the gates of hell. Classic.
To the gates of hell, yeah. So yeah, this one obviously leans heavily on Greek mythology, which is, that's Wonder Woman's character, right? Right. She's an Amazon.
Honestly, I didn't know much about Wonder Woman's character other than she's, the Amazon princess. I didn't know who her mother was, or if, like, it makes it sound like she's the daughter of Hades, which I don't know if that's accurate, but
yeah,
it's at least an interesting thing to see this one story of it.
I remember seeing one version somewhere where it said that she doesn't have a father and she was like created out of stone or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know who her father is. I don't know how that's one thing I always wondered. I'm like, an island of just women. How do they reproduce?
Well, okay, at least in this show, but I do believe this is like an accurate thing. They're basically immortal, right? Like even age-wise.
Well, right. So they wouldn't need to create more of them by reproduce. Like they might occasionally go. One might occasionally go off and have fun with a man.
I do think like the actual mythological story of the Amazon kingdom is like, yeah, every once in a while they do leave to do that, and then come back.
Yeah, if they want more of them. I mean, yeah, obviously them going to an island full of just women, Flash is all like, hey, a bunch of women.
Yeah, Flash has been weird for me this entire show, because it's like, Flash is usually like a really cool, smart character. Like, he was a scientist that you saw that flashback. That's what he was doing.
But in this, he's the comic relief. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This version of Flash is the one I've always grown up knowing more better than like the others. So to me, this is like normal. But yeah, I do see what you mean.
Yeah, well, I think really like this version of him.
I don't know. I think it's just the fact that it's different, because that version was, or that the original one was Barry Allen, and this one is Wally West, who I don't know enough about Wally West to know, but like I think he was a more comedy, funny guy kind of character.
From what little I know about Wally, I do think he was less serious than Barry.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think he was like stupid by any means. Or maybe it was a bit of an overcorrection, but it might still be kind of accurate.
Yeah, I don't know. But to me, it's fine because I feel like, to me, that's always been kind of the way the character is, just because that's what I was used to as a kid. And also, it's like one of those things where it's like, it is kind of nice to have a more light-hearted character who's not as serious, to kind of balance some of the seriousness of the other characters. That can always be a good thing. So to me, it was always fine the way he was. But yeah. So I don't know what to say about these. I mean, yeah, they fight Hades at the end.
They do that. That is a thing that happens. It do sometimes be like that.
And his army of dead people. So, I don't know. I mean, this one does a good job at adding more to Wonder Woman's character. Like I said, there's different episodes that are more focused on specific characters. There's, this is the Wonder Woman episodes. This is the, earlier we had the Green Lantern episodes, So this is a good way to really get into her character more. So that's good.
Yeah.
But I don't have much more to say about it other than that.
Yeah. You're right. I did just think of... I do remember there was a moment when they were like, oh, there's too many of them and they're undead, so they just keep getting back up and blah, blah, blah. And my brain is like, you have the stone turny thing now. Undo that and you suddenly have like an army at your disposal. And It could have been this whole like cool scene.
But they later on say like, oh, none of us know how to use it.
Yeah.
Because Felix Faust was the only one who knew how to properly use it. Yeah. But yeah, no, we can move on. I mean, we've been recording for a little while, so,
Yeah, maybe.
Might as well get going.
Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace. I can't talk on any
We're gonna get back into some of our older episodes that were like over 2 hours. Okay, we'll move on to Warworld, which is okay. I don't know. I feel like this is some of the lesser episodes of this season.
I mean,
like,
I would want to say that it expands on Superman's character, but everybody already knows Superman's character.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because like in this season, this is like a common thing in this season. They make Superman look weaker than he's supposed to be.
That is so much of what I want to talk about Superman.
Yeah. So I think they improve on that in the next season, because I think it's like the idea was the creators did this thing where they would have like a villain hit Superman first. Like they take Superman down, be one of the first ones they take down, just to show how powerful that villain is. Like, oh, they can take down Superman. But they did it so often that it became so like, oh my gosh, Superman's a pussy, But like, so I think it improved. So they think they realized that and then improved it in the second season. From like, I've heard that's like a thing,
All right. I look forward to it, because right now it's just always like, normally you think of Superman and you think, oh no, you can't knock him down. But this is just, he gets knocked down all the time, and he just keeps getting back up, and eventually he's just like, I'm done with this game, and finally uses full strength.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and then there was this weird thing where they were just like, oh, Martian Manhunter, we don't want him to be super powerful, because we don't want him to be too powerful to be able to help with this. So there's just something in the air sapping his power. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I'm not going to explain it. I'm just like, what? Because there's that scene where he's pretending he shapeshifts to Mongol to like talk to the people, and then he just it stops working but it's like, oh, they just added that just to make him not as powerful, because they didn't want the character to be too powerful in this episode, but they never explained it.
Just not put him in the episode.
Well, right, they didn't need Martian Manhunter to be in this episode. They could have had either another character be there, or like just none, or like something. I don't know. Like they could have done.
He just wasn't helpful, and they wanted to make him even less helpful.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, because they wanted to make it difficult for Superman to be broken out, like all that stuff. So it was like, yeah. I
Which,
don't know.
once again, is already just like, he's Superman. He could just, bolt out at the speed of light and be fine.
Yeah. Yep.
That's also something they do with Flash a little bit, where I'm just like, why is he struggling to catch up with a car?
He's supposed to be faster than this. Yeah, it is this weird thing where it's like, oh, the characters are like, oh, Flash is as fast as he needs to be for the scene. Oh, if he needs to be slower than a car for this scene or just barely able to catch up with a car, that's what we're going to do with the character. But in another scene, he'll be much faster than that easily because that's what we need him to be for that scene. It's like just kind of this thing. It's like hard
this
to
guy can
gauge
dodge
the powers.
bullets. He can run in a circle fast enough to cause a tornado and control it. Yet he can't catch up with a van.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a weird thing with this show. Yeah. Those are some of the main complaints I would have with the show is like just kind of like power level engaging.
I get
they're kind of...
You can't make them like super powered for everything or else, there wouldn't be a show.
Yeah, but I don't know. But so Warworld. One thing I did like though was we got to see Green Lantern and Hawkgirl work together, so we got to kind of get, build a relationship between those two characters. Build like
see that.
So that was nice. Yeah, exactly. I think that's a dynamic that develops more in the show too, like those two specifically. So that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love these episodes, but I didn't hate them, but they're just like, okay.
Honestly, it's just a very good representation of them limiting Superman. It's like, he struggles with this one dude who like then picks up this huge piece of rubble and crushes him with it. And it's like, okay, we know he's fine. And then it just shatters like it's nothing, and he starts just tanking the punches of the dude. And it's just like, you could have done this the entire time. Why are you just starting now?
Yeah, and then obviously there's a nice moment where he doesn't kill the guy at the end of the fight, which like is very Superman. But then they're like he's like, should we kill him? Like they start shooting lasers at him, and I'm like, that wouldn't kill him. Like the crowd is like, yeah, kill it. Or no, the crowd is, but like Mongol wants to kill Superman because he defied him or whatever. And I'm like, do you really think that would kill Superman?
Like, no, this man could just, you teleport him to a separate planet, right? He could literally just bolt at that exact moment, fly away, and be done with it.
Well, that's what I was wondering is like, is that planet the place they get teleported to fight, like protected by some sort of force field too? Probably, right? To prevent people from escaping. I don't know.
Unless it's like just somewhere out in the middle of nowhere where it's just like, yeah, no, even if you escape, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. But then the guy that he fought, Draga, is that his name? Yeah. He was interesting too. But like he took the hot thing and put the S on his chest with the hot metal. Which is like, I was like, oh damn, this guy's no joke. He's intense. All right.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you're showing this whole little villain arc for this one gladiator that you were probably never going to see again.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but he's not really a villain though, because at the end, Superman gives him some wise words of advice about how to lead the people and like. Something is like, it's not about how you die, it's about how you live or whatever. Yeah, so interesting. Anyways, moving on, we're going to talk, these are the final episodes we're going to talk about, which I know we're talking about 15 episodes in a 26 episode season. So our next episode is going to be 11 and we're going to talk about, so it's a little unbalanced. but that's because we messed up and we ended up watching more, and then we'll just do it this way. So anyways,
blame the ordering. The ordering was unclear.
So the ordering was weird. So in my version, when I watched them, the whatever episode, Injustice for All episodes were episodes 18 and 19.
And mine were like
the version you were watching were like 8 and 9.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
so
apparently the difference is on like the official list. Well, I saw this on the wiki, so grain of salt and all that. Injustice for All is like listed as as they are the episodes as I watched them, but their air date is as Nim watched them, which is just confusing.
Yeah, so why they didn't air them in the order that they made them, I don't know. But
anyway,
that's okay.
Moving on.
So, The Brave and the Bold. So this is like the Flash episode.
Yeah.
What's like Flash and Green Lantern, that's another good kind of like character dynamic that is good. It works pretty well in the show. I think those
nonsense, well disciplined, and comedy relief.
Yeah, exactly. So, a classic character dynamic. So it opens in Central City, which is the city Flash is from. And there's a monkey. There's a gorilla.
Yeah.
I love the part where he's like, what? Green Lantern's like, the gorilla talked to you? Like, I'm supposed to believe that? And then he's just like,
we have a Martian on speed dial.
We have a Martian's phone number on speed dial. I should get the benefit of the doubt here. It's like, yeah,
he's right.
I'm like,
he's right.
I'm sorry, but like, you are a freaking Green Lantern. You have traveled to how many different planets? And you're surprised by a gorilla that can talk. Okay,
literally in your Green Lantern Corps, there is a living ball with arms and legs, and you're worried about a talking gorilla?
And you won't believe a talking gorilla. Like, come on, John. What is wrong with you?
You have had full conversations with someone named Hawk Girl. Who I'm not even sure if that is a mask or her actual head.
No, it is a mask. It is a mask. Okay. Don't worry. Yeah,
just it always says that she's from a different planet, so I'm just like, is she human or not? No,
you do see her without the mask at some point.
Okay.
I don't remember when, but you do at some point. But yeah, it's I'm just like, okay. I don't know why you wouldn't believe him, but okay. And then also
he makes a great point. There's
exactly.
Many much more crazy things, but anyway.
Exactly. I also like that this shows just how much Flash eats.
Yeah,
which it makes sense because it's like he accelerated metabolism, and he does all that running and stuff. He needs a shit ton of energy, so it's like, oh yeah, it does kind of make sense.
Just a quick snack, he says, holding a literal armful of hot dogs.
Stacked really high, yeah. It's like... and then, what about that dream sequence? Where, like, so while he's under the spell of Grodd being controlled to do, whilst the Flash is being controlled to steal the stuff, he has this dream.
That's the flashback that I've been talking about, as well as a ton of other trippy stuff that made no sense.
Yeah. So the dream involves, like, he turns into a gorilla at one point. He's looking in a weird hall of mirrors. He's a puppet at one point. His head turns really huge and crushes him at one point. Like,
he's really fat and slow.
What's that?
The one was what he becomes really fat and slow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is probably after eating all that hot dogs that might make you fat. I don't So that was
Not
interesting.
the Flash. It just goes straight through him. That's like pure energy for him.
Goes straight to his thighs, like that Squidward. Like Squidward in that SpongeBob episode. Eats all the Krabby Patties. And then... it's great. Anyways, that's unrelated. So, anyways, this episode. So they bring up the idea that there's the Guerrilla City that exists, which how have humans never found this? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's invisible, but like somebody would have found it.
You think eventually somebody would like fly over that and just crash in midair into the dome?
What the? Yeah, but doesn't matter. So they're basically just super smart apes, and Grodd is like supposedly the smartest one. Yeah, and he's
a mind control helmet.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot to say about these episodes. Like, I think that it does a good job at establishing the dynamic between the Flash and Green Lantern really well, which you already got a little bit of before, but I think these episodes focus on it more, obviously.
It also finally showed a bit of the Flash's intelligence when he rearranged the wires on Grodd's helmet.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, you assume he's an idiot.
Because he acts like one.
Because he acts like one, yeah. But like, he really does have intelligence, which is nice to see. And it was also funny to see the Justice League members flying and then Batman just swinging and then running. It's like, they're all just like flying and he's just like, yep, I'm running to I'm like, what you could like carry him or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And he doesn't have to jet this time, so he's just like, I just gotta work with what I got right now.
He swings with his grappling hook a few times, then he's just running, and it's like they're like way ahead of him. It's like
at least the Flash could run on the ground, but
well, yeah, at least he's fast. Like, well, that's an interesting thing. The Batman and the Flash are the only two that can't fly out of all of the 7 Justice League members. Which is a weird thing because it's like that's just like the standard power. Like, yeah, what do we want to give our character another power? Yeah, they can fly, sure. Martian Manhunter, yeah, he can phase through things, shapeshift,
telepathic link.
Yeah, and we'll make him fly too.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman, super strong and everything. We'll make her fly too.
That's the one weird thing that I didn't get about Wonder Woman. Like, it's always just, she's just super athletic compared to other people, right? Fast, reflexes,
can fly.
And then it's just flight is added on there. It's like, that's not what
she's just got like the standard superpowers. You know what I mean? Like the standard bag of superpowers. Like, yep, strength, flight. But she also has her metal wristbands that she uses to block bullets.
Even though she could tank them either way.
Maybe. I don't know how tough she is. Like, I think Superman is tougher than her. Like, stronger.
Yeah, Superman's tougher than everybody.
Superman is Superman.
That's his entire character.
Pretty much. Yeah. But I'm trying to think what else happened in this episode. Wonder Woman kissed Batman on the cheek. So that's a nice. Maybe there's a romance a brewing.
That whole thing was weird to me because Batman's like struggling to try to dig her out, and it's just like none of the really strong people behind him are helping him, and Wonder Woman is really strong herself, so like she's probably fine and can just lift it off her at any moment.
I think it was supposed to be a moment of like Batman is to show that Batman really cares about her specifically, because it's like he's struggling to save her. The others are just kind of accepting that she's dead.
But Martian Manhunter should be able to tell. That is the thing that he has.
He just phases through and finds her. Like, he can just phase through to look and see. Oh, she's fine.
Not even that. But he has been. Oh,
yeah, with his telepathic link, too. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, are you there?
I am, yeah.
I think we're having some connection issues. Are you there?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, we're good. Okay, I heard you again.
Oh, all good?
Yeah, but yeah, no. Yeah, so he could tell with his telepathic link whether she's okay or not, too.
Yeah, and he just walks up behind Batman and puts a hand on his shoulder as if, like, he already knows that she's dead when she's clearly not. It's like, you're the one who knows. Like, you can probably still hear into her mind right now, and yet you're doing this motion that tells him that she's already dead. What?
There's like a few times where the show does the fake out death thing where it's like a little cheesy, where it's like, oh, come on.
Oh yeah, there's the first few episodes with Batman, but there was a purpose behind that one.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, come on. Like, you know that he's not dead. And then he just kind of shows up, and Martian Manhunter is like, I've been protecting his location with a telepathic link. And you're like, oh.
It's like, you could have told us.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't tell them either. They're just like, it's like, and then this, where like, seems like she's dead for a second, but she's obviously not. Because she can handle being crushed by things, you know?
I mean, yeah. She fought Superman and was like toe to toe.
Oh, that was another cool scene from that episode where they like thought the other one was a monster. That I forgot about that scene from the Wonder Woman episode where they had that like enchantment on them where the other one looked like a monster, and they thought that was kind of a cool thing.
But I did also like how that one I understood why Superman got his ass kicked, because like, oh, he realized it first, then started holding back as not to hurt her.
Yeah.
And then just basically let her beat him up.
Well, yeah, because in a real all-out fight between the two of them, Superman would win.
Oh, right, Superman would beat anybody. As I said, that is his entire character.
Right. Like, Batman could beat Superman if he's well prepared enough. With like kryptonite and stuff. Like in the movie Batman v Superman, the only reason he beats Superman is because he has kryptonite.
Otherwise, like, Superman's just overpowered. Like, there isn't anything that can beat him. No, you're right. That is the point of his character. He's Superman. He is the Superman. He's just better than the other men in every way.
Yeah.
Plus the flying and heat vision and X-ray vision and all that.
Well, yeah, that helps too. But yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if I have much more to say about that episode. It's pretty obvious at the end that like Grodd is like gonna return. They kind of give that shot where it's like, oh, he's just as dumb as a normal ape now. And then he gives a look on his face where it's like, nope. So, yeah, which he's like a classic villain. So, you know,
yeah, that's a Flash villain, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure was originally a Flash villain. So this is like the introduction of his character too, because like other villains have already been like established in this world. You know, like Grodd, it's already been established. Like a lot of the other ones, but Grodd is like a new villain in this episode, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that was all the episodes we watched. First half of season 1 of the Justice League, and in 2 weeks we will talk about the rest of the first season, and then after that we'll continue with season 2. So yeah, do you have any more things to say?
No, I think I'm all good.
All right. So anyways, next week we have decided on a movie we're going to talk about. We want to keep with the superhero theme, actually keeping within this universe, this specific universe, by watching Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a movie that I really like, that you've never seen. So yeah, we'll check that out and talk about that next week. And the week after that, obviously, continuing Justice League. So anyways, thank you all for listening to WABAN. You can listen to a new episode of WABAN every single Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. What else was I going to say? There's multiple places you can listen to it on, including... My brain is like fried right now. I don't know why.
You're so good at this point.
Yeah, I know. You'd think I'd be better at this point, you know? It's like...
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to it on multiple different audio platforms like Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, places like that, and many others. You can also listen to it on our YouTube channel, which is called WABAN. There's a link in the description to that YouTube channel. You can listen to it there. And we also have gaming videos on the channel that you can check out. So we're almost done with our Portal 2 videos that we're doing. So that'll be really exciting. And... you can also check out my YouTube channel, which is called Nim TV. That's NAM TV. So the next video I'm doing on my channel, that's linked in the description as well. The next video I'm doing on my channel is a new episode in a series I'm doing called Trilogy Time, where I review movie trilogies. As you can probably tell by the title of the series. The next trilogy I'm doing is the Dark Knight trilogy, because I've been kind of on this Batman kick recently since the Batman movie came out and I saw it and stuff, so I decided, you know what, I'll watch the Dark Knight trilogy and do a trilogy time on that. So anyways, check that out. Subscribe to Nim TV if you'd like to. That's about all. So thank you everyone for listening. I've been Nim.
And I'm Cub.
Goodbye everyone.
Bye-bye.